Okay, well, that was the biggest fail. I had just filmed a bunch of footage explaining what I'm doing and where I'm doing it, and all of it was filmed in slow-mo, which clearly wasn't gonna work. So I have to reshoot this, but hey, welcome back. My name is Charlotte, and I'm a knitter, person who likes to make things, aspiring sewer, newbie photographer, just a person who's living in the greater Seattle area. And I like to make things. And I also like to go to lots of events with other people who like to make things. So I'm coming to you from Magnuson Park in Seattle. And I'm attending the Fiber Flock Festival, which was put on by Le Mercier Knit Shop from Bainbridge Island. This is the very first of this festival. So this is Fiber Flock, and it's the first festival that they've ever done. And apparently it is crazy. Like, I've been following it along on Instagram. It's massive. Their marketing on point. Chef's kiss to the marketing. And I think it shows in the event because even when I was driving by getting ready to park, there are so many people. There's food trucks, massive, gorgeous venue at this amazing park where you can bring your dog, you can have kids here. There's a playground. So great location so far. And yeah, I'm really excited to check things out. A lot of local Pacific Northwest dyers, yarn shops, I think even a couple farm vendors are going to be here as well, but more on that when we actually get inside. I'm here on Sunday, which is the third and last day of the event. I wanted to come Saturday, but was celebrating my mom's birthday, so we also had some yarn and blueberry picking fun yesterday, but she wasn't able to come with me today because it would have just been a lot of back and forth for her. She lives pretty far outside of the city. And so I thought, well, hey, she knows about this YouTube thing now that I do. And so what if I just recorded the whole thing and it would be like she got to come along even though she's not here. And maybe everyone else will really enjoy this because I think that one, the Pacific Northwest and Seattle like really needs a festival like this. There's nothing really comparable to Rhinebeck or Maryland Sheep and Wool on this side. There are lots of festivals, but they just aren't very big and they aren't put together super well. And I think it all comes down to the marketing and people knowing about it and it looking like a fun event, even if you're not necessarily a knitter. Like, this looks fun even if you're someone who's just coming with a person who likes to knit or crochet. And I think that that's really important when doing events like this, is making it appealing to a wider range of people beyond even just people who craft and make things. So I'm really excited. They've already said that they've outgrown this venue and it's only year one. So I'm super excited to record it, hopefully meet some people, and then see what they do with it next year, because I think events like this are great. They're great for the whole family. They're great for people who love to knit, craft, sew, make things. And I'm just very excited. So let's go. So the event is at, as I said, Magnuson Park, which is this really big park in, East Seattle, near University of Washington. And I'm not going to show you because it would just be like kind of weird iPhone video, but it's really big. There's a tennis court, there's soccer fields, dog park, huge playground, and all in all, it would just be a really fun place for people to spend the day, even if, say, you bring the family and then someone can take the kids to the park while whoever the knitter, crafter, or crocheter is could attend the event. So yeah, great location, and oh my gosh, I see it. Les Mercier. What a great knit shop. They had a ton of loop fiber, which I really want to try one of these days. I think it'd be a great alternative to Spin Cycle if you wanted that same effect but a more even variation in color and not so much striping. I loved this mustardy yellow. Also, I've never tried knitting for olive yarns, so one of these days I'm going to have to spoil myself and pick a project to use that for. I think what I love about this shop and Lamb and Kid as my two standout shops from this event is just how great their samples are. You can really see just the range of what you can make with their yarns, which is what makes a shop so great in my opinion. Spin Cycle yarns. I was just here the day before, so I didn't end up making a purchase, but it's always fun to go look at all their great samples. They had a really beautiful tessellated vest color palette, which inspired me. The next place I went to was Yarn Nouveau, which is a hand-dyed shop from Utah. This place had all jewel-toned colored yarns, which I had never seen anyone commit so hard to that, and I was obsessed. I didn't make a purchase, but I would absolutely come back and buy something. The next place I hit was Explore Knits. I also didn't make a purchase here, but I just am obsessed with them from Instagram, so I had to stop and see what their actual stuff was like. Great samples. They had this really awesome little Intarsia tank top that I was absolutely obsessed with and could totally see myself making and wearing. I couldn't find the name of the actual pattern though, but I love them. This place wins the award for cutest stand of all times. It kind of had the same feeling that a vintage like powder room would have from the 1950s. Their thing was these mini skeins. You could like mix and match any of the mini skeins that you wanted, so it had the same vibe as like an advent calendar almost. I absolutely went back to the Lamb and Kid, and this is actually where I ended up making my first purchase of the day, even though I'd been here just a couple days before, but I've just been so impressed with this shop. It has the feeling of what I would say is like the modern knitwear shop. There's bright colors, but there's neutrals, there's workhorse yarns, but there's also really fun yarns that give a really nice, polished, and I would say even store-bought look to them. There's something about the yarns that they carry and the samples that they have that it just all looks like something you would buy in an actual store. So I thoroughly enjoyed my time there. U2 Yarn. I really enjoyed looking at their color palette. They had a lot of these rosy, mauve colors, which aren't really what I would personally like to wear, but I stopped because they had this really awesome sweater pattern called the Budding Vines cardigan slash sweater, and I just thought this would be so pretty in black and white. There were a couple other products there that I thought would be really fun to purchase, but I didn't have anything specific in mind for them, so I just squished and looked at the beautifulness of all of the colors. Mitchell Wool Company. This is where I made my second purchase of the day, and this was my last purchase of the day. But I thought this was really fun, mostly because they had yarn that was more rustic than what I had seen at most of the event, but they also had a lot of t-shirts, sweatshirts, branded things with funny sayings on them. It almost had the same feeling as like a lifestyle brand. They had just a ton of merch and also wool washing materials like lanolin soaps. It's just very different than most of what I saw from other vendors and what I've seen from other farm vendors in the past. They really went hard on the merch, which was really fun. So I've taken my first pass at the event, and so far everything looks awesome. I'm not really looking for anything specific other than a green silk mohair for a Teti Lutzig sweater that I'm trying to make. And I have the main wool, but I need something to fuzz it up a bit, so that's what I'm on the hunt for. some damage at this. I did some damage, which wouldn't have been a problem, except for the fact that I did some additional damage yesterday because part of my mom's celebration was going up to Bellingham to the Spin Cycle store to buy yarn for the tessellated vest because we're each making the same one. So I spent some dollars there as well as some dollars at Fiber Flock. But oh my gosh, it was honestly so good. I don't say that lightly. I thought there were so many people there, and it was like the tail end of the event, and it was still like popping busy, and the quality of the vendors was just so good. I mostly stuck to the vendors that really stood out to me and had products that, though I didn't make a purchase today, maybe from all of them, I would definitely go back or like purchase stuff from them online. I loved getting a sense for some of the different vendors that are in, you know, the western portion of the country. There were so many knitters and so many brands that I follow online attending, which I thought was so cool. Like Explorer Knits was there from Colorado, and she does such amazing stuff. So they're a woman-owned like hand-dyed company out near Denver, I believe, or Colorado Springs, somewhere. But the quality of the vendors really stood out to me. I did end up making a couple purchases. The first thing was I did settle on something to hold double for my Teti Lutzik sweater, which I didn't say the name before, but I believe it's the Perpea. I'll put it down here so you can see. But I have some really pretty, like very tweedy yarn that I want to use for that, but I don't think the gauge is going to be quite right, and so I ended up so predictable at this point. I went back to the Lamb & Kid and bought some of their brushed alpaca in the color olives. And it ended up, I thought it might be a little bit darker than the yarn that I have for the sweater, but it has a pretty light green halo. Like it looks almost like it has a yellow feel here. So I think this will work really nicely, and I think the alpaca will fluff it up quite a bit because that pattern originally uses unspun yarn, which I don't have, and so I'm hoping this will give me a similar enough effect but keep that nice big boxy drape that I'm going for because it's all over cables, and I have a pretty specific vision for how I want to slightly modify that pattern in order to make it a bit more my style. So I bought 4 of these for that. And then I ended up stopping at this place called Mitchell Wool Company. And they had wool. I believe they're from Michigan, I think I heard. I'll put the link to their website down below, but Mitchell Wool Company. And they had wool, they had farmed wool that was dyed, they had undyed, all non-superwash. A lot of it was 2-ply woolen, really pretty stuff that would be really good for like a rustic feeling sweater, but also would be good for color work, I think. They had a really nice array of colors and weights, and they had very natural tones of their colors, which is probably more my vibe. I do obviously like to go for some of the brights occasionally, but on a day-to-day basis, I usually like to stick with, the neutrals. I just bought 2 things there, like a couple things for me, and then I bought the same things for my mom so we can match. But they had these stickers, which was just hilarious. This one is, "That'll block right out," and I say this literally all the time. And then this one, "Knit sheep, not plastic." I feel strongly about this. While I do support the use of nylon, I tend to not purchase a lot of acrylic blends. I have nothing against acrylic blends. I just tend to use more natural fibers, and I prefer the finished product when I do that. So this rings very true for me because I just don't knit with really anything other than natural fibers. And then I bought a tote bag. I bought 2 tote bags. For Flock's sake, it's so cute. I bought this because it was funny. And that's literally the only reason. And I'm going to walk around with this, either with a project in it or just with stuff. And yeah, I haven't quite gotten to the level where I feel the need to carry a tote bag that says something along the lines of, if I'm sitting, I'm knitting. But we're close. So this is where we're at this moment. But it's really nice canvas. So good stuff there. And they had so many t-shirts, all kinds of funny sayings, like in addition to the yarn that they had. It was almost like a lifestyle brand. They really had a lot of stuff to choose from that wasn't specifically wool, which I thought was pretty cool. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is just, I feel so blessed already to be able to feel like I have more more insight, I guess. I don't know how to say it, but I just met Winnie, who subscribes to this channel. She commented on one of my last videos asking if I would be here, and I commented back saying, like, I'm gonna try to go, and I genuinely meant that, but I honestly did not expect to meet her, and I got to meet her. She came up and she was so sweet. She was just like, I love your videos, I love your style, I don't want to, all these things. I was overwhelmed. I think I was just grinning ear to ear. I didn't even really know what to say because I was like, oh my gosh, like, I should get a picture with her. I should, film something. But then I was like, does she want that? Does she want me to do that? I felt so like happy and so grateful to have met you. But then I was like, oh my God, like, what do I do? Like, and so I decided to stop thinking about it and just soak in the moment. I'm so happy that I met you. And I think that that's just so cool. That's the part of, I guess, activity of making a YouTube video and putting it online. It's those kind of moments that I just think they make it so worth it. And I can't wait to continue to hopefully interact with you online. And you were so sweet, and it was so nice of you to come up and say hi to me. I feel so thankful that you did that. So hello, and hopefully I'll see you on future videos in the future. But I just wanted to give a shout out to Winnie for coming up to say hi to me. It really did touch me, and I may have been a little bit awkward, but I was just so overwhelmed with what to say or do. I feel like I've made a new acquaintance, and that is the part of this that I love so much, is it really does create a conduit and a common ground for people to connect on. And I think that's why I've said this a few times before, but that's why I'm doing this, and that's why I'm going to keep doing it, and hopefully I get better at it as I keep doing it. But yes, my all-in review of Fiber Flock was that it was a smashing success, and even a, dare I say, chef's kiss. I'm working on my next podcast. It might be another week after I post this, but I'm gonna put this footage together and hopefully get this out either tonight or tomorrow, and then come up with a podcast video for a week or so after that. But this was so much fun. I think it's going to be so much fun to look back on this content and look back on this day, because though I wasn't here for that long, it was so much fun and I loved it. So with that, I'm going to say hasta la vista and see you next time.